Good morning, students. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a class of professional elective 3 of 6th semester, and it is rural water supply and on-site sanitation system. So we are in the last module of this subject, and it is all about solid waste management. Okay, and it's all related to the sanitation approach. So in this world, basically due to the growing development, or you can say growing development of industries, or by different means, even due to the mining work or any industrial work, or even from the domestic work, due to the increase in the population, due to the increase in the development techniques. Okay, so the increase of the rate of increase of the waste is go on increasing also. Fine. So it is a very serious issue of solid waste management even in today. Okay, and even now also different research are still going on for a proper management process for a definite waste. In the last class, we have discussed about a basic definition, or what you can say the introduction for the solid waste management. We have discussed about different source of solid waste. Fine. So let's go back to that class so that we can have some revision. Fine. So let me allow to share my screen first. Yeah. Here. So basically, solid waste is solid waste may be originated from different sector. It may be from a domestic waste, it may be industrial waste, it may be from agriculture waste, it may be from the medical waste. Okay, like that. So depending on the source of waste, a particular waste material contain different characteristics. Okay, and different waste need different treatment. Fine. So for that, before going for management of a solid waste, you have to identify what is the type of the waste and what is the source of the particular waste. Clear? So we have discussed about different sources of waste in the last class, like municipal solid waste. Okay, these are a classification. Fine. There are different type of classification may be there. Okay, so it's one of the kind of classification of solid waste. Like first classification is under municipal solid waste. It may be contain the waste coming from the domestic work. Okay, it may be contain for organic matter, that means from the food related matter, or it may contain other dry waste like plastic and all. Fine. So under municipal solid waste, we can categorize the municipal solid waste under two parts. One is your wet waste, another one is your dry waste. Okay, wet waste means one which contain organic matter which can be decomposed very easily, like food waste coming from the um, domestic sector. Okay, that means from the waste coming from the household, you can consider they are biodegradable, and you can consider they are wet waste. Okay, other kind of municipal solid waste like plastic, okay, and other material which cannot be decomposed so easily, they are categorized under dry waste. So they both are basically are municipal solid waste. Fine. So if I consider the plastic, it required about 1 million years for decomposition. Or you can say 1 million years required for regeneration. So up to that particular year, it will remain there. If you just throw the plastic in a uh, ground, it will be there in the ground. Okay, disturbing the soil property, disturbing the property like permeability. Okay, or you can say the compactness, or even in other way also it can uh, affect. Okay, like if you throw plastic in agriculture field, it will reduce the rate of growth of the crop. Fine, because it prevent the percolation of water. Okay, so we need to um, treat the plastic or this kind of a dry waste, or you can say in overall the non biodegradable waste very carefully, so that it should not harm the environment and to sustain the sanitation and environment. Fine. So like this, we have discussed hazardous waste. It's just a class of classification. Okay, it's just a kind of classification. Hazardous waste are those waste which directly affect the human health. Fine. Like hazardous waste may contain no, toxic gases, okay, or other matters which may cause diseases. Okay, so these are basically classified under hazardous waste. If I give example like the waste coming from a nuclear power plant, thermal power plant, okay, they need more special care because they contain hazardous waste like nuclear waste. Fine. So we should no, maintain a distance between the human contact from this hazardous waste. So particular hazardous waste need a separate and special attention, or you can say a special treatment. Under class industrial waste, the industrial waste may be of solid waste, it may be of liquid waste, it may be of gaseous waste. Fine. Whenever you treat a gaseous waste by combustion, it will finally give a solid waste, okay, as a precipitation. Okay, there is a long process of treatment also. For gaseous industrial waste there are different way of treatment. For solid waste which directly come as solid, fine, like coal ash. Okay, suppose a coal is coming from a mine, it used in a thermal power plant for generating electricity. Okay, but the residual of the coal which coming as a waste, it's come as a solid waste. Okay, and a particular industry, he's what he do, he just keep the particular waste in a particular separate area, but it will remain in the ground only. Okay, so we need to treat the particular waste very well. Okay, so industrial waste may be a liquid waste. That means liquid waste means when a particular waste, fine solid waste mixed with water, it create a liquefied waste. Okay, like slurry. Okay, or like you can say scum. You can say. Okay, So these are basically the waste, which is come on liquid basically. So liquid waste can also be treated by treatment plant. Okay, just suppose just similar to the water treatment plant, if you consider a sedimentation tank of water treatment, a sedimentation tank, what is does when a particular wastewater come in the sedimentation tank during the detention time, as heavy solid waste matter, what will happen to them? They settle at the bottom. Okay, and the water which comparatively pure, it can come out of the system. Fine. Same case, same system can be used for industrial treatment for liquid waste. Okay, you can go for sedimentation. The solid waste in from the water, it settle at the bottom, and the water without the solid waste, it come out of the system. Okay, or come out of the treatment plant. But the solid waste which settle at the bottom, it remain there. Fine. You can take out, and we have to again go for treating the solid waste. We have to manage that solid waste. Where to put? Okay. So this kind of problem needs some management. Fine. Anyhow, whatever solid waste have a form, either it has a solid form, liquid form, or gaseous form. Finally, it will come to the solid form. Fine. And that's why it's called solid waste management. Okay, because ultimately the ultimate physical appearance is your solid basically. So we need to treat that solid waste very carefully, so that we need to prevent the hazardous effect in the environment. Fine. So this is all about your industrial waste basically. Fine. So under industrial waste, it can be classified as toxic waste. Okay, hazardous, I think there are some classification are also there. Yeah, hazardous waste can also be classified under toxic waste, reactive waste. Okay, ignitable waste, which can this kind of waste mainly they are so active, so you cannot store this waste in open air. Suppose the waste coming from the uh, oil refinery which contain some amount of oil. Okay, you cannot just put in the air, because in air it present what? Oxygen, right? So even at the low temperature, that means less than 60 degrees Celsius. Okay, so a particular waste which contain this very active matter, like petrol, you can say. Fine. So it can react with the atmosphere, it can create fire. Okay, like, yeah, like gasoline, paint thinner, like that. Alcohol is also contain um, so active waste. Fine. Because they can burn at very low temperature, like less than 60 degrees Celsius. So we can again, we need to take care of this ignible waste so carefully, which is under your hazardous waste. Okay, even from corrosive waste, infectious waste. Okay, so these are under hazardous waste basically, who directly harm the human life. So after hazardous waste, we have a different classification like agricultural waste. Okay, so basically agricultural waste are similar to the wet municipal solid waste, because agriculture waste, most of the agriculture waste are biodegradable. Okay, and one of the example of agriculture waste like cow dung. Okay, in agriculture field you use cow, and the waste coming from the cow is a cow dung, right? And we can go for uh, reuse the agriculture waste, which is suppose cow dung. You can go for storing the cow dung in a special container from where we can create biogas. Okay, so in coming classes also we are going to discuss about biogas. Fine. So it's kind of a treatment, reusable way, so that we can use the agriculture waste. Fine. And other one, biomedical waste. Okay, and next we are going to discuss about waste minimization. That means after knowing the different type of source of waste, after classifying the waste, we can go for waste minimization. And in general, the waste minimization is follows the one basic principle. Okay, containing 3R. What is that? The waste production can be minimized by adopting the 3R principle. That is your reduce, reuse, and recycle. That means, first of all, you have to go for reduce, whether it is reducible or not. Okay, after that you can go for reuse, whether it can be reused or not, particular waste. Okay, and then you can go for recycle. That means you can use the particular matter to make or convert to a different matter. Okay. So basically, what is for example, reduce the amount or toxicity of the garbage and trash that you discard. Okay, that means reduce means what? Basically, you are reducing the toxic effect or other harmful effect of the particular matter. If you can reduce it by treatment, you can. It is basically about reducing process. Okay. Reuse means what? Reuse container and tray to repair things that are broken. So that means suppose your some things are broken, then you can also be go for repairing the particular thing and go for reuse if possible. Okay, that means by reusing the waste, it can reduce the load of the whole waste. Fine. Okay, then you can also go for recycle. The recycled product wherever possible, which include buying recycled product. Okay, so in market there are different product that can be they are promoted by using recycled matter. So it's advisable that you go for using the recycled product. Okay, that means more recycled product is sell. That means more waste will be used. So indirectly, you can say the whole load of the solid waste on the earth, it will go and reducing if you go for using recycled product. Okay. So let's discuss in more detail in this case. So whenever come in reduce, that means in the first principle, that is waste management, or you can say the waste minimization, it is your reduce. Fine. That means you have to reduce the toxic effect of the particular waste. Like waste prevention or source reduction basically. It means consuming or discarding less is a successful method of reducing waste generation. Backward composting, double side. Okay, regarding composting, we're going to discuss about that in coming classes. Okay, so composting is one kind of a technique can be used for reducing solid waste. Fine. Backward composting, double side copying of paper, purchasing durable, long-lasting, environmentally friendly goods, products, and packaging that are free of toxins, redesigning products to use less uh, raw material production, and transport packaging reduction by industries are the normal practice used and have yield sustainable environmental benefits. So basically, this sentence, this paragraph is basically for general point of view. Fine. So if you go for as from a student point of view, if I say if you use a double side copying of paper, that means some suppose you have a 10 page of paper. If you're using only one side of paper, that means after using 10 page of the particular paper, you're going to throw this paper. Okay, but if you're going to use the double side copying of the paper, it will reduce the load on the waste. Fine. So it's just a very small but very impactful idea of reducing waste. Okay. Sources reduction prevents emission of many greenhouse gases, reduce pollutant, the needs saves energy, conserves resources and reduce wastage for new landfill and combustion. Regarding landfill also we're going to discuss in coming classes like composting, what is landfill. Okay, we're going to discuss. Yeah. So it reduces the generation of waste and is generally preferred method of waste management that goes a long way towards saving the environment. Chalo. So this is a very general statement again. Fine. So that means what is the benefit of reducing the waste by reusing that particular. That means you are using that left pages or other thing like buying the environmental friendly products. It will benefit the environment by reducing the solid waste on the earth. Next is reuse basically. That means whatever you have used before throwing, you can try for reusing the particular waste. Okay, so reuse is the process which involve reusing items by repairing them, donating them, donating them in charity or community groups, or selling them basically. Reusing product is an alternative to recycling because the item does not need to be reprocessed for its use again. Using durable glassware, steel, using cloth napkins and towels, reusing bottles, reusing boxes, purchasing refillable pans, pencils. These are the examples. How can you go for using? That means if you go for using a refillable pen, that means a particular pen, whenever ink is empty, you can also refill. So like this, you can also go for minimizing the waste. Okay, and particular waste which are cannot be go for recycle, you can go for reusing by yourself or by donating to the poor people or go for charity or community groups like that. These are under reuse. So this is not a noble cause. It will also help in the environment by reducing the solid waste. Fine. Next principle is your recycling. That means if it's possible, you can go for recycling the product. The process of recycling, including composting, has diverted several million tons of material away from the disposal. So composting mainly is kind of a technique where you can go for recycling the product. That means a particular waste can be go for composting, and after composting, the particular waste become fertilizer. Okay, just like if you go for biodegradable waste, you can go for composting technique. Okay, so we're going to discuss about composting technique, how it's actually done. Okay, even in a particular household also you can go for composting, right? Basically, composting is in a general term. If you store in a bucket, you can say if you store a garbage in that. Okay, so with time it got compost. Okay, it get biodegradable. Okay, processes go on up to some certain time. After that, after certain time, that particular waste become fertilizer. Okay, and that particular waste can be used as a fertilizer even in the agriculture field, or you can also use in gardening. Okay, so this is a process of recycling. Basically, the recycled matter include batteries recycled at the rate of 93%. Basically, paper also is a kind of a recycled product. Paper boat. Okay, okay, different methods are there for recycling. You can also go for Google. You can search recycling method. You can find a list of the recycling method. Okay, which can be recyclable. So you can go for it. If you can't recycle by yourself, you can uh, give the particular method to the party or organization who work for recycling. Okay, so this material and other may be recycled through the drop off centers and buyback programs and dispose system. Basically, so what is the advantage of recycling? It prevents the emission of many greenhouse gases. That means unless uh, you go for burning that particular waste, which it may create greenhouse gases. Okay, or you can go for recycling. That means you can save the environment by preventing the emission of greenhouse gases, which produces mainly because burning of waste. Okay, the recycling prevent the emission of many greenhouse gases that affect the global climate, water pollutant. Okay, and it also saves energy and supplies valuable raw material to industry, and also create in jobs. Okay, stimulate the development of greener technologies. Okay, so there are different advantages or different benefits of recycling of the waste. Okay, or you can also go for taking a different project even in the next semester. It's up to you. Okay, you can go for research on this topic. Okay, please mute yourself who have unmute. Fine. So for example, you can say there is some data that by recycling solid waste in 1996, United States prevented the release of 33 million tons of carbon into air, roughly the amount emitted annually by 25 million cars. Okay, so it can be reused, the particular matter. Okay, and that's how, if you see the bigger picture, it's very beneficial for environment. Recycling can create valuable resources and it generates a host of environmental, financial, and social benefits. Materials like glass, metal, plastic, papers are collected and separated and went to processing center where they are processed into new product. That means I think even in your household also some person may come with a trolley, right? They are searching for plastic, paper like that, right? So basically these are used for a recycling matter. Okay. So like material like glass, metal, plastic, paper, they are basically recycling matter, can be used for recycling. The advantage of recycling are it covers resources for future generation, prevent emission of greenhouse gases and pollutant, saving energy. These things are the benefit of recycling. Fine. So this is the basic of uh, solid waste management. Okay. So any solid waste management follow this principle: reduce, reuse, or recycling. Okay. So this is the general principle of waste minimization, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this particular principle you have to understand what is all about reduce, what is reuse or recycling. Fine. Next, we'll discuss about disposal of solid waste. How can you go for reducing the solid waste basically? So there are different way of reducing the solid waste basically. So I'll show you some picture here. You can see these are the basic approach can be used for solid waste management, like landfill. Okay, next incarnation, waste composting, biogas generation, composting, or vermicomposting. Fine. So these are the methods which can be used for waste management. Fine. So basically, a solid waste disposal management is usually referred to the process of collecting and treating the solid waste. Okay. So whenever you heard this term solid waste management, it basically follow two terms. One the principle and what is the process. A solid waste management process follow the principle of reduce, reuse, and recycling.
Reuse and recycling.
And and the detailed process
And
involved here,
the detailed process involved here,
that is your collecting and treatment of solid waste. Okay, that means the overall solid waste management classified under two process: collection of the waste and treatment of the solid waste. Okay, it provides solution for a recycling items that do not belong to the garbage or trash. Solid waste management can be described as how solid waste can be changed and used as a valuable resources basically. Improper solid or improper disposal of solid waste management or municipal solid waste can create unsanitary condition, and this condition in turn lead to pollution of the environment. Diseases can be spread by rodents and insects. The tasks of solid waste disposal management are complex basically. It involves of complex technical challenges. They can also pose a wide variety of economic, administrative, social problems that must be changed and solved basically. So some methods that can be used for solid waste disposal and management are: one is your solid waste open burning. So I think you have also seen in different areas the solid waste burned in open air. Okay, it's called incarnation basically. Okay, another one is your wait. Okay, next is your sea dumping process. That means um, some waste can be disposed to the sea. Okay, next solid waste sanitary landfill. That means we are storing the waste under the or beneath the soil. Okay, so landfill basically is what I'll show you in the diagram here. Landfill means what? Suppose this is your ground surface. Okay, we excavate a particular specific kind of area from the soil. Okay, suppose this is an inverted embankment, you can say, which is dig up the soil, and we dispose the solid waste here. We store the solid waste inside the ground, fine. And to prevent the waste, to prevent the contact of the waste from the other surrounding, we have to make impervious the whole circumference of the landfill, even from the top. So it's look like this. Okay, it's like a container basically. Okay, within this container the waste is stored here, fine. So this is basically all about a landfill, fine. So we can go for solid waste sanitary landfill. Then incarnation process, that means we can
Incarnation
go for
process, that means we can go for
incarnation.
we can go
Okay, then composting process, then you can go for just disposal the waste in the field, then disposal of the hog feeding. Okay, then you can go for salvaging process, then biological digestion basically, fine. So basically the solid waste open burning is what? The solid waste open burning is not preferred method in the present scenario, fine, because open burning of the solid waste basically creates what? Greenhouse gases. Okay, because in due course of time, day by day, the load of the waste is increasing. Okay, so if you go for burning a huge hump of waste, it will create a uh, large amount of waste. Okay, okay. Next is your sea dumping process. That means you can also go for dumping the waste in even in the sea. This sea dumping process can be carried out only in coastal cities, basically, which the particular city which located nearby the sea, they can you go for this process, sea dumping process, and it is very costly process and not environmental friendly also. Next, solid waste sanitary landfill. The solid waste sanitary landfill process is simple, basically, clean and effective. In this process, layers are compressed with some mechanical equipment and covered with earth, level and compacted. A deep trench of 3 to 5 meters is excavated and microorganisms act on the organic matter and degrade them. In this producer, in this procedure, basically, refuse depth is generally limited to 2 meters. Facultative bacteria hydrolyze complex organic matter into simpler waste soluble organic. Okay, so I'll show you a diagram for landfill. Let's wait. Here, I'll show you just a diagram for a landfill. See, here, let's see, it can be tomorrow. Yeah, so this is a basic line diagram of landfill. Okay, that means this is a general ground surface. From the general ground surface, you have to excavate some amount of soil beneath the earth. Okay, and this is the basically this is the area. Okay, this is the area of the landfill. This in this
area of the
area the
landfill.
waste are
In this area,
filled.
the waste are filled.
Okay, in this area.
Okay, in this area.
Okay, this is the area where the waste are actually stored here. Okay, and this is basically the outer layer. This is or this one or this one. This is the basically a liner, clay liner. What is the basic purpose of clay liner? Clay is a basic property of what? It is contain very less cross-sectional voids, right? Fine. So it is kind of an impervious layer. Okay. So this compacted clay layer reduces the liquid coming from the waste, and it prevent the waste, liquid waste basically, to go to the natural ground. Okay. So this is the first layer, and this is the second layer. Okay. Because if this waste, liquid waste coming from the waste, liquid come go into the natural ground surface, and if it reach the groundwater table, here you can see the groundwater table. If it reach the groundwater table, it will may pollute the groundwater, and eventually it will it will pollute the natural surface water also. Okay, that's why to prevent the contact between the waste from the natural ground surface or natural groundwater, you have to you know surround it. We need to surround this waste by using some impervious layer. That means suppose clay layer. This is your clay layer 1, compacted clay soil, and this is clay layer 2. Okay, different method can also be used in different country. Okay, so this is the waste where the compost are basically gone, and due to decomposition of the waste, it produce what? Because of the composition, because of the decomposition of basically, it produce gases. Okay, and what is the main gas it produce? Methane. Okay, this particular methane gas can also be used for electric generation plant. Okay, so there are various advantages of landfill. Fine. Fine. So this is the list basic line diagram of landfill. Fine. Okay, let's go back to the presentation slide. Yeah. Next, your incarnation method. Incarnation method is suitable for combustible refusable. Okay, combustible refuse. Refuse or your waste, same thing. High operation cost and construction are involved in this procedure, and this method would be suited in crowded cities where cities are landfilling are not available. That means for landfill techniques, that means for this landfill technique, it requires some kind of land. Okay, in some areas where the land is not available, you can go for incarnation method basically. Fine. But we have to check whether this particular waste is toxic or not. Suppose a particular waste is after combustion, it's produce greenhouse gases, then we should not go for a incarnation. Okay, that particular waste uh, which should not produce greenhouse gases, that can be go for incarnation method. Fine. So it can be used to reduce the volume of solid waste for landfilling also. Composting, it's also one of the very important one. The composting process is similar to sanitary landfill basically, and it is popular in developing countries. Decomposable organic matter is separated and composted in this procedure, and its yields are stable and produce a good soil conditioner. They can be used as a base for fertilizer. That means by composting process, you can actually find a fertilizer. Okay? I'll show you a basic composting. Let's see. So from composting of soil or composting of waste, you can uh, go for get fertilizer. Okay, you can use also the particular soil can be used in your agriculture field, or you can even in for gardening. Let's see. So this is basically the process of composting. I will just finding a composting process of waste. Let's see. I just want to find some real picture. It's not visible here. I can here. I can also go. Let's see it is there or not. It's a general method. Okay, suppose the whatever the waste coming from the kitchen, if you're storing in a particular container, okay, or even in the dustbin, and after some days it will get compost, and that particular waste can be used in the gardening process. Okay, in even in the your gardening land, if you mix the soil with that composted waste matter, it will use can be used as a fertilizer. Okay, so this is a basic approach. Composting is a basic general approach, can be used even in the household. Okay. So basically, this all about the different type of approaches which can be used for managing the solid waste. Fine. In coming classes, we are going to discuss about landfill, biogas production, and composting basically. So you can see these are the diagram for landfill, incarnation, waste compost compaction. Okay, this is the waste compaction. Okay, and this is a biogas generation. How can you go for biogas generation? Basically, using the agricultural waste. Composting basically done for biodegradable solid waste like food waste. Vermicomposting means you are using a living vermi in the soil. Okay, and the particular vermicomposting means what? The particular waste mixed vermi that can be used for fertilizer. Okay, fertilizing process. I'll show you a vermicomposting here, a diagram. Let's see it is there or not. Yeah, here you can see this is a vermicomposting. That is by using living organism, you can go for decomposition of this waste. Okay, that vermi can actually eat the waste and they produce or regenerate the soil or regenerate the waste in terms of very good fertilizer. Okay, so you can also go for vermicomposting and it's very good fertilizer basically. Okay, so this is all about today class. So till this class we have discussed in general discussion about solid waste management. Okay, so in coming classes we are going to discuss specifically about landfill, biogas generation by agriculture waste, and composting of biodegradable waste from basically of food waste. Okay, so this is all about today class. So with this I just want to close my sharing here. Fine. So for today we are not going for two classes even. This is for today whole class. Fine. So with this I just want to close my recording also so that we can take your attendance.